Quick second, inshallah. Try to keep this as short as possible. Bi-idhnillahi ta'ala. The whole point and purpose of this is last night during the Q&A, actually after the Q&A, a question was posed to me by a brother that was physically here, mashallah. The question kept nagging at me, and it was bothering me. It was seriously bothering me. Even still today, the question was like lingering and lingering, and I couldn't figure out like what exactly was it, because the brother who asked the question, he's a beautiful brother, mashallah, and we're all in a process and a state of growing, mashallah, and this is just one of those things that was in his heart and his mind, and so he asked. Absolutely nothing wrong with that. But then, mashallah, alhamdulillah, I realized that it's because the question is actually indicative of something much larger that is going on within the Muslim community. And it's like asking, how do I get a raise at work? How do I get a promotion? How do I get more vacation time? Right? How do I get my boss to like me, etc. Like all of these different types of questions. Like I want to advance in terms of my career, right, in my particular field or what have you. Like how do I get this? How do I do that? Well, show up for work. That's first and foremost, isn't it? Show up for work. If you don't show up for work, what's the point? And that's the whole thing, is that we have to understand something, that deen is there for our benefit. It's not for Allah's benefit. It's for our benefit. There's nothing that you and I are doing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala needs. Allah is independent. Allah ta'ala does not need us. We are the ones who are in need. نحن من الفقراء, يعني we are the ones who are from those who we're poor, we're impoverished, we're in need, we're dependent upon Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And so everything that we've been given in the deen is actually for our benefit. So any part of the deen that we are not practicing, right, then what we are saying is that in all actuality, I don't want that benefit from that particular thing. Even though we may not even know what the benefit may be, right, per se. As soon as we cut off a certain portion of our deen, or we are unwilling to submit to that portion or to learn that portion and put that portion into practice, what we are actually saying through our amal, through our actions, is what we're saying is I don't want the benefits that come along with those actions. Because number one, Allah Ta'ala doesn't tell us to do something. We don't see it in the sunnah of Nabi alayhi salatu wasalam unless there is a specified purpose, there is a reason, there is a benefit that comes along with it. Yani fi dunya wa fil akhirah, in this world as well as in the next. So any part of it that we're saying that we don't want to practice or we don't want to learn, then by default we're saying that we don't want those benefits. So here the thing is that yani, make salah. You want barakah in your time, you want barakah in your rizq. Like arguably, I don't think there's anything yani, as far as fadail, the virtues or the rewards or what have you, for doing a particular amal. I don't think there's anything that like rises above making salah. Mashallah, like the list of fadail, virtues and everything that go along with just making salah are numerous. And one of those it's one of those 5 things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala now takes care of when we make salah 5 times a day with concentration and with devotion. That's the key. So instead of, and I found out like what it is, it's like kind of like was bothering me, is that I keep getting like receiving, and people keep talking about like all of these, like and I keep getting requested to do these. Not happening, by the way. The 5, like what's the 5 ways or 10 ways of getting more barakah in your time, right? What are the 10 ways to remove stress? What are the 5 ways to make your wife love you, and this and that and the other? Number 1, it kind of like, and I'm gonna be very, and this is just my opinion, okay? This is just my personal opinion. My personal opinion is like this, like stinks of like being gimmicky. It's just too gimmicky. And honestly, like Islam is something so beautiful and elegant and sophisticated yet accessible, right? It is complex, but again, it is accessible, and it is so. Yani, it's like a divinely yani woven 3-dimensional fabric. It's just amazing. It's amazing, and it just like it hurts me, and it makes me feel a certain degree of agitation when it's reduced to something like this. When now, like, and again, what is this for? Like, number one, like, again, like, it's the whole gimmicky thing. That's the first thing. And the first argument that everybody makes is, well, but this is what people want. Islam is not what about? It's not about what people want. It's actually the opposite. It's about what you need. It's the whole want thing that becomes that is the first problem, and it continues to be a problem throughout our lives. Yani, what do you want? Why do you want it? What is motivating you to want that thing? What is the origin of that desire, of that want? Is that want permissible? If it is permissible, are you accessing that particular want through a halal means and through an understanding of this way of life that we know as Deen al-Islam? So that's the first thing. The second thing is this: is that what are we showing our kids? Yani, when we're talking about our children, we're representing Islam and how we understand Islam as adults in front of our children. What type of Islam are we presenting in front of them? This kind of like gimmicky, like 2 to 5 minute, you don't really need a whole lot of concentration, feel warm and fuzzy. Yani, we're catering to all the short attention spans, and which are getting shorter, as we move along. Like, is this what we really want to show our children? Yani, is this what's going to help our children? Like, if during our lifetimes we've watched the situation become progressively worse, and now, like, we can only imagine what our children are going to go through after we're gone, right? We're seeing them go through it now. And then what type of Islam are they going to need in order to be able to be equipped, right? Tooled up in order to be able to manage living life and surviving as a Muslim. But here's the thing, not just survive as a Muslim, but thrive as a Muslim. And I'm telling you right now, this whole gimmicky thing is not it. The whole 5 of this and 7 of that and 10 of that and 12 of that and 20 of this, like, this is, Islam is not like some cover of like some like sultry magazine, yani, at the end of the checkout aisle. Like, it's got so much more to offer, and it should be revered, respected. It should be presented, yani, in to the best of our ability, in the same form that we could, yani, that we received it, yani, meaning from Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And so we really need to be careful about this. I know that there is some short-term utility to it, and that's fine, but to a certain degree. But the thing is like, have the long-term, what they call unintended consequences. Have the long-term impact, has that really been thought out? And is that really being taken in consideration? And then again, what really is the motivation for this whole, this whole gimmicky approach to Islam? What is that? What is that? Where is that coming from? What are the what's the motivation? And I'll leave that to you to think and ponder about. But that's not who we are, and that's not what I do. That's not how I was taught. And on top of that, like, honestly, if I even tried something like that, I would be scared that, honestly, that my teachers would find out. They would see something like that, and mashallah, next thing you know, I'd be getting a phone call or some request to come see them. And it would be absolutely appropriate. And I can only imagine what I would be told at that time if I did end up doing something like that, and I got called in to basically in an effort to get me to check myself. So just please consider that Islam is a complete package. If you want all the benefits, mashallah, me too. So why not just take the time, be humble enough to engage in learning Deen. Learn your Deen. Take the time to learn your Deen, and then take the time, may be willing to make the effort and the sacrifice to put it into practice so we get the benefits. The benefits are not we're not shooting for the benefits. And again, like, barakah in time to do what? This is one of the things in the khutbah tomorrow, but like, we've got all of these devices and this and that and the other, and all for the sake of convenience. But and supposedly, like, this is supposed to save time, right? Everything's going to save you time. Everything's going to save you energy. Everything's going to save you from having to go do something else. So, like, as we keep, like, all these technological advancements, are we getting more time? You can make an argument and say yes. It's just a matter of what are we actually doing with it. So before we can even talk about barakah and time, let's look at first and say, how much of our time are we actually wasting? Yani, are the time that we have in our 24 hours of a day, right? How much of that time is actually being spent wisely in the first place? Because again, it's like it's a common problem, right? You have people that like they're spendthrifts. They love wasting money. They buy this and that and the other. They go into debt and then next thing you know they're drowning in debt and they have all these issues. They got all these financial problems and they're stressed out and they're distressed. And then they now go and ask for zakat and sadaqah. Okay, but yani, is that really what you need? I know it's what you want, but is that going to fix the problem? Is that going to fix the solution? If not, then why are you going down that path? And if you now, even when you give them the money, when you give them the sadaqah or the zakat or what have you, mashallah, does it actually help them? Does it improve their situation? Or are you actually, by giving it to them, exacerbating their situation? Right? It's just kind of like when you have a drug addict. You know, there's a drug addict, you know he's got a drug problem, and then you're saying like, yeah, he's coming to ask you for like 20 bucks, I'm hungry. Okay, but you know that more than likely if you give him that $20, food is not the first thing on his mind because his priorities are jacked up, because he's sick, right? He's dealing with an addiction. The same thing here, giving people what they want isn't necessarily going to help them, even though they may want it. And even though it may be a good thing. Nobody's going to argue and say giving sadaqah is bad, brother. Like, we should never give sadaqah. Giving sadaqah is a good thing, right? Giving that $20 to to somebody who is in need because they're hungry is a good thing. But we are to a certain degree responsible, right, for kind of like making sure that within reason, and you don't even have to go too far. And here what we're talking about is a societal issue. It's not necessarily an individual issue. This is a societal issue. In terms of the Muslim community and the overall, the psyche of the Muslim community, it is absolutely going in the wrong direction. And there's a variety of reasons why that is taking place, but it's steadily moving in the wrong direction. And unless we start to check ourselves, not check each other, but we have to check ourselves. Like, what are you really doing here? What is your motivation? Why are you doing this? I know what you want, but what about what you need? Before you can even talk about what you want, are you talking about your needs? Because otherwise that's childish. So when a child is coming and saying that, I want cake, I want ice cream, but you haven't had dinner yet. I don't care, I want cake and ice cream. Okay, but you need nutrition. Right? You need vitamins, you need minerals, you need protein, you need your carbs, you need to eat your green vegetables, etc., etc., right? You need to be healthy. You can only eat so much cake and ice cream before you're gonna make yourself sick, and ultimately you can kill yourself with cake and ice cream, right? So you have to have a balanced diet, and every now and again you give some cake and ice cream. Every now and again, right? Every now and again you give the dessert. But that's the thing. Now we are basically the psyche is pointing more towards it's all about dessert. Give me what I like. Give me what I want. Give me how I like it. Give it to me how I want it. So now the content is being dictated by the masses, and then the mode of transmission is being dictated by the masses, and then now also the methodology is also being dictated by the masses. So and then the masses again, aktharuhum. We look at the Muslim community. We look at ourselves. Because again, we have a responsibility. We have to represent Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We are living in a non-Muslim country, and we are watching like all these aspects of this society collapse around us. And we need Islam more than ever. We need the benefits of this system of Islam. We need to actually find some depth within ourselves and find some willingness to make effort and sacrifice. And that willingness is indicative, and it does point directly towards our level of sincerity as Muslims and our commitment to really, not just verbally, but actually we are really willing to seek out the pleasure of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, may Allah guide us, may Allah protect us from self-obsession, self-destruction, self-sabotage. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from becoming the slaves of our desires, of our wants. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the sincere and true desire to learn deen and to put it into practice, a willingness to be able to those aspects of ourselves which are detrimental to our overall progress and exceeding to our overall goal, our purpose in life. which is ibadatullah, the worship of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, acquiring the love of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala help us, guard us, guide us, protect us, save us. May Allah ta'ala open up the ways of khair, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us realization of where we are at, and who we are as it stands right now. But we ask Allah ta'ala to do so with ease, because we are very fragile. And even something like this, I know that there's a lot of Muslims that would listen to something like this and they would immediately be averse to it. And that's fine, that's okay. Here at Islam of Mine, our focus is primarily on those who want to excel, not so much on those who are comfortable with crawling or just want to learn how to walk. We are actually more interested in those who want to learn how to run and do it like on a high level. Because birds of a feather and all of that, I was just talking to Abdul Wahid, mashallah. Birds of a feather flock together, right? Yani, you want to be around those type of people that yani, you share, you have that commonality amongst you. So if you are a person that is like, no, I want to take this deen in its entirety, I want to conform, I actually do want to submit, right? And I just tell people Islam means submission, but no, I actually want to do it. I actually want to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I want to change. I don't want to be like this. I want to be like Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I need help, and I need sohbah, I need companionship. I need those other individuals of like-mindedness, that we are going to do this together. And we'll support one another in this effort of doing what? Striving for excellence, striving for ihsan. That is more along the lines of and yeah, we fully understand that those individuals are going to be few and far between, and we're completely okay with that. We're completely comfortable with that. MashaAllah, in terms of all the various organizations, especially living here in Chicagoland area, there's so many different if you want go somewhere else. There's so many opportunities, MashaAllah. We are not a one-stop shopping by any stretch of the imagination, but what we are here for are those that look, I want to take this deen in its entirety, and I want to try to the best of my ability with whatever life I have remaining. I want to try to the best of my ability to learn it properly with all due humility and put it into practice with all necessary effort and sacrifice. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to become distinguished through His obedience. Jazakumullah khairan jazak. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalamu alaikum.